My worst fear: encountering a mimic. Me, 36F, and my daughter Olivia, 16F, live in a small town in South Dakota. She goes with her father every weekend. She leaves every Friday afternoon and comes back Sunday evenings, so usually she'll be gone by the time I get home from work on Friday evenings. This particular Friday, when I pulled up to our driveway, I looked up at her window and noticed her bedroom light was still on. I figured she accidentally left it on before leaving. I don't know. I walk into the house and hear movement coming from upstairs. "Oh, she's still home," I whispered to myself. I went upstairs and knocked on her bedroom door and slowly opened it. "Your dad isn't picking you up this weekend?" I asked. "No, I told him I want to stay," she said while looking down at her journal. "Great. I'll make dinner for us and we can watch a movie if you'd like." There was a long pause before she said, "Yes." I closed her door and I thought she was acting a bit standoffish. She usually has a lot to say. I texted her dad asking if they maybe got into some sort of disagreement or argument that led her to not wanting to go with him this weekend. I went downstairs and started making dinner for us. As the food was cooking, I started organizing things around the house, and I noticed Olivia's book bag and coat aren't hung where we usually hang our things when we get home. I thought maybe she just took her things up to her room. No biggie. I went into the living room and saw Olivia sitting on the couch facing away from me. I didn't even hear her coming down the stairs. She kind of startled me, especially because she's just sitting there, not on her phone like usual and the TV off. I walk over to the kitchen and check on the food. I yell out, if she can please pick out a movie for us. I went out to check what movie she picked, and to my surprise, the TV is still off and she's still sitting there motionless. "Olivia, you didn't hear me?" I said. I grabbed the remote and picked out a movie. I chose The Conjuring. I love Vera Farmiga. I grabbed our plates, and as I sat down on the couch, I heard a notification coming from my phone in the kitchen. I told her I'll be right back. I checked my phone, and it was a text from her father. After reading his message, my body went cold and stiff, literal chills. He said, "What do you mean?" "I picked Olivia up from school and we're grabbing dinner with her grandma right now. I feel catatonic at this point." I took a deep breath and walked slowly towards the living room, peeking in to see if it was still sitting on the couch. It was. It was just sitting there very still, looking forward but away from me. I haven't even seen Olivia's face since I've been home, like the thing has purposely been avoiding eye contact. I went back into the kitchen. I didn't know what to do. I'm fucking terrified. I had to go back out there. My car keys are in the living room. I took a deep breath and got the courage to walk out confidently like everything was normal. It was gone. I don't know why I yelled out, "Olivia?" My stupid, confused human instincts. I heard its voice coming from upstairs, sounding just like my Olivia. It said, "Mom, I'm upstairs. I need your help." In the most sinister voice. Hell no. I grabbed my keys and ran the fuck out the house. I was shaking so much I couldn't even put the damn keys in the ignition. God, I wish I had a push start for this very moment. As I reversed out my driveway, I looked up at the house and it was at Olivia's window waving at me, faceless. I couldn't even breathe. I never drove off so fast in my life. I know this sounds totally insane, but I swear something is off with my new neighbor. I am honestly feeling so on edge every single night, like I cannot even sleep or think straight. I figured maybe sharing it here might help, because I need someone to tell me I am not losing it, or at least give me some idea of what I should do next. I have lived in this same old house for years, and yeah, it has its creaks and weird sounds, but I have never felt like this before, not even when I had that creepy landlord a few years back. That guy was weird, always watching from his window at odd hours. This new neighbor is different, and I mean that in the worst possible way. For the past 2 weeks, I have noticed that no matter what time I wake up at night, there's a faint light behind my curtains, shining at a low angle like it is coming from a flashlight or maybe a phone. The first night I assumed it was nothing, maybe a passing car or a cat. Then it happened again and again. Now I am sure that someone, I am almost certain it is my neighbor, is actually standing outside my window in the middle of the night, never making a sound, just standing there. I tried to catch them, but any time I rush to the window or fling open the blinds, there is just darkness. Let me tell you, That kind of silent persistence really does something to your head, you know, makes you question every thought you have. I started staying awake longer, pretending to sleep but with one eye half open, waiting for that faint glow. Sure enough, it is always there. When I try to tell my friends, they say I am paranoid, stressed out from work, that I need a break. How can I take a break when I have this feeling that I am being watched, like studied, like maybe someone is waiting for me to slip up or drop my guard? It is not just the light either. During the day, I have caught him staring at me from behind his curtains next door, just standing still. He never waves, never looks away like a normal person would when caught. Just stares like I am some sort of animal he is analyzing. If that does not scream messed up, I do not know what does. I would call the cops, but what would I say? That I think my neighbor watches me at night because I see a weird light outside my window, that during the day he stares at me through his curtains? I have no proof. I worry that if I confront him, it might escalate, like maybe he has been trying to work up the nerve to do something worse. I'm just here waiting, feeling that clock tick in my skull. It has gotten to the point that when the sun goes down, I start shaking a little, and I lie in bed watching the walls, the door, the window, imagining that faint glow coming closer. Maybe pressing against the glass. Maybe one night I will wake and he will be inside, standing in the corner of my bedroom, silent and still. I do not want to live like this, but I am too scared to do anything, too scared to even tell my family. They would just say I am too old to be afraid of the dark, that I am letting my imagination go wild. Maybe I am. Maybe it is all in my head. But I can feel it. I can feel those eyes on me. I wonder how long he will wait before making a move. How long until something finally gives, because I cannot see a way out. I cannot rest. I cannot bring myself to just pull the trigger and call the cops. I am stuck in a messed up state right now, waiting every night for that light to appear. It always does. I have no clue how the hell this will ever end. I don't have anyone else to talk to about this. I don't have any friends, family, or even acquaintances. When I ran away with Dan, I thought I was moving towards a better part of my life. I was going to be more grand, more promiscuous, and more exotic. But I can't. I arrived at the house just after dusk. It was smaller than I remembered, hunched beneath a sky the color of ash. The realtor had called it quaint, but now all I saw was decay. The paint, once white, peeled like dead skin, curling back from the wood in long, brittle strips. The windows were clouded with dirt like they hadn't been touched in years. I wanted peace, solitude. But as I stood there, staring at the house, I felt the air grow heavy, pressing in on me. Grief does strange things to your mind, I thought. I hadn't been myself since Dan's accident. His death left a gaping hole inside me, and this place, this forsaken house, was supposed to be a refuge, a place to escape, to grieve in silence. But the longer I looked at it, the more I felt something was wrong. I shook off the feeling, telling myself it was just the exhaustion. I dragged my suitcase inside and shut the door, the echo of the slam too loud in the empty rooms. The house smelled like damp wood and old memories, stale and suffocating. I unpacked slowly, my hands numb, mind drifting. That first night, I slept fitfully, wrapped in Dan's old sweatshirt. The wind outside howled like a wild animal, scratching at the windows. I thought I heard footsteps in the hallway around midnight, slow, deliberate. But when I forced myself out of bed to check, there was nothing. Just silence, thick and oppressive. By morning, I convinced myself it had been a dream. Days bled into each other. I wandered the empty rooms, the floors creaking beneath my weight, each groan sounding like the house's whispering voice. Objects started disappearing, small things at first, a spoon, a pen, my keys. I brushed it off, telling myself I was just forgetful. Grief does that to you. I'd forget my own name if I didn't say it out loud sometimes. But the mirror, that was harder to ignore. It started with glances, catching the corner of my reflection when I wasn't looking for it. I'd be in the kitchen, washing dishes, and out of the corner of my eye, I'd see something move in the hall mirror. At first, I thought it was just my reflection, delayed somehow, but it wasn't. One night, as I passed the mirror, I saw her, me, standing there, staring back. Only she wasn't copying me. I froze, my heart thudding painfully in my chest. My reflection stood still, her face slack, eyes wide and dull. She was waiting, watching. I reached a trembling hand toward the glass, but before I could touch it, she moved. Not a blink, not a shift in weight, just a sudden, violent jerk. Her hand shot up to the glass, slamming against it with a sickening thud. I screamed and stumbled back, but when I looked again, my reflection was normal. A terrified, pale version of myself. I backed away, avoiding the mirror for the rest of the night, every muscle in my body wound tight, waiting for something to happen. But nothing did. Not yet. The next day I started hearing the voice. It whispered, faint at first, almost like a breeze, but then it grew louder, clearer. It was Dan. I was sure of it. His voice, soft and familiar, coming from the walls, the floors, the cracks in the wood. He was calling me, telling me he wasn't gone, that he was trapped here, with me. I wanted to believe it. God, I wanted it so badly. The grief in me ached, tearing at the seams. I spent hours sitting in the dark, listening for him, begging for more. But all I got were whispers, taunting, cruel. The voice turned from gentle to accusing, blaming me for his death, telling me I had abandoned him. You let me die, he hissed through the walls. You should be with me. Come back to me. I tried to shut it out, but it followed me from room to room. The objects that had disappeared started showing up in strange places. On the bed, in the fridge, inside my shoes. Things I didn't even own appeared in the house. An old pocket watch, a child's stuffed bear, a photograph of someone I didn't know, their eyes scratched out. The mirror was the worst. Every time I passed it, she was there, my reflection. But she wasn't me anymore. Her eyes followed me, tracking my movements. She smiled when I wasn't looking, a cold, mocking grin that stretched too wide. I tried covering the mirror with a sheet, but every time I left the room, the sheet would be on the floor when I returned, the glass gleaming as if nothing had been there at all. By now, I was hardly sleeping. The voice never stopped. My reflection never looked away. Then, last night, it happened. I woke to the sound of glass shattering. Heart racing, I sat up in bed, blinking in the dark. The mirror. I knew it before I even stepped into the hallway. I could feel it, like a heartbeat, pulsing in the walls. The mirror was broken. Shards scattered across the floor. But in the middle of the glass stood a figure, tall and dark, shifting like a shadow made of flesh. It smiled at me. My reflection, no longer behind the glass but standing in my home, dripping with something dark and sticky. I tried to scream, but the sound lodged in my throat as she moved closer, her smile splitting her face in two, wide and grotesque. Come with me, she whispered, her voice like shattered glass. Come, be with him. I ran, but the house twisted around me, the walls groaning as they stretched and warped. I could hear her behind me, her footsteps quick and sharp like the ticking of a clock. Closer, closer. Now I'm here, hiding in the attic, my back pressed against the cold wood. The whispers are louder, Dan's voice mingling with hers, calling me, telling me to give in, to join them. I don't know how much longer I can hold on. The door is creaking open, and the mirror is gone. I think she is too.